Bro, I one-shot him. What the f? Yo, my man ran up and got one shot. He fucking found out, bro. Another person one shot. Holy sh. Bro, I one shot him. He stealth.
Yes.
Well, they bring their own build down. They got shit on that time.
Where did you guys go?
I died.
I'm gonna Ash. I don't know. You want to stay and fight?
I just killed one. Oh, next year. I'm hopping back in on FTP. On slow kill. He's dead.
I'm about to die.
No, you're not.
I'm on Lily.
Jesus. Oh.
Bro.
I see y'all coming in. Two on one again. 3 on 1. Holy. Where'd the other guy come from?
I came from the abyss.
Ah, that's not you, is it? Oh, that was you. Oh.
I just got double kill. Triple kill.
One just ran right past us.
Fucking their shit up. Double kill.
With the boost. Let's go. Push him.
Triple kill.
Keep going.
Bro. Fuck, bro. What the?
Yo, what is good, you guys? Welcome to the video. Today I am going to teach you how to play Spear Dagger. Spear's gotten a lot of hate since it was released. However, I have been making every potential possible combination of the build and they are all fire. However, I will say this Spear Dagger version has one of the highest skill ceilings, even though I don't think it is the best dagger class to exist. It does still have a very unique playstyle in the sense that not only is it good large scale, but in small scale groups, it has again a very niche role that no other class can fill. It is not the best in 1v1s. It's mostly pure damage. It's still good 1v1, don't get me wrong. But I would say its strong point is group play as well as large scale. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I have been cooking. Thank you for requesting this. If you like the video, you like the build, please drop a comment below. Without further ado, let me show you what I cooked. Alright, you guys. We are here in Castleton. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the gear first for this video. I am currently 4K on the Spear Dagger. My highest build out of 5 of my builds is 4.2K. We are getting our Spear Dagger to that point slowly, surely. However, the main difference in this melee evasion setup is that I am going for L'Aquarius for the perception crit as well as the base damage upon mobility skills, and then we have Shackles, which is giving me hit chance as well as strength. We are stacking as much hits as we possibly can for this build because it is really important to hit your CC. We are going for the 60 perception, 50 strength for the heavy attack, 60 perception for the hit chance as well as the range. Only getting 40 dex for the bonus damage. And then we are getting more heavy attack from our Field Generals set. We are currently sitting at 19, almost 2,000 melee evasion. As we fix our runes, which will be in the Questlog, we are going to hit well over 2,100 melee evasion. You could also replace the melee evasion runes with ranged evasion and probably hit around 1,100, but I think it's better to just pump melee evasion as they seem to be the biggest problem in the game. You can pretty much one-shot a range user, even though they can probably two-shot you. It's kind of RNG. But melee users are very tanky, so I do not want to take sustained damage from somebody that I can barely deal damage to. So we are mostly countering melee. 16k HP. These are our most important stats. We will be raising our hit as well. But if you look here, our melee attack is 431. I will say we are getting a little bit of diminishing returns on going so high in heavy attack. However, heavy attack is the nature of this build as it synergizes with our unyielding sentinel. So you pretty much have the highest potential heavy attack for a feasible PvP build. We are getting a good amount of crit damage, skill damage res. Debuff duration is huge with negative 21%. This build, I'm telling you guys, is absolutely cracked. One thing you can do is replace. You could potentially replace the Amber Dimensional Band with the Perception based band and make this build still work. However, I just didn't feel the need to, as I currently have the Amber Dimensional. It's not that big of a difference. However, it is, I would say, personal preference. It works with both. Now, we are using Stellarite, white and green Stellarite as usual, but the food that you want to use for PvP is PvP hit chance and or all hit heavy attack. Notice you get more hit and crit from the PvP food. However, again, this is a heavy attack build, so it's always nice to stack a bit of extra heavy attack as well as hit. Again, we are hitting diminishing returns on the heavy attack, so it's not always necessary to really stack over 400. Around 300, you start hitting a bit of DR. But it is still nice to stack as much as possible. With Unyielding Sentinel, the more people around you, you're getting more heavy attack as well. So again, extreme heavy attack build. So the other version of this build that I've been running is the Magic Range set. This build has a bit more base damage, even though it has less. It has a bit less heavy attack. It still has pretty decent 295. This is around the diminishing returns points anyway, so you're still getting the majority of the heavy attack you need. 1700 magic evasion, 1000 plus hit, 15.4k HP because of Dark Slayers. We have really solid evasions. You can also run the Ancient Sourdoma Bracers with this build if you would like a bit more ranged evasion. However, we're going for 60 strength for the health and heavy attack, 50 dex, 50 perception. Ideally, I would want to hit 50 perception, but it's a little bit more difficult with this build, so I think 60, 50, 50 is the more viable option for this gear setup, mostly because I'm targeting magic evasion to try and avoid magic damage. But again, this is the crit damage setup for the 2-piece Shadow Harvester set. All right, one more thing that I want to show you guys before I move on are the runes and rune synergies. So I am currently going for Dex attack speed, on both weapons. I think attack speed is the most vital stat for weapons. For accessories, I'm going for max health Dex, attack speed max health perception, damage reduction, max health. I think this is the best rune setup for a dagger based DPS class. And overall, the blue runes that I want to go for on Spear Dagger is HP. For yellow, skill damage resistance. I think bind resistance as well as stun resistance are extremely good for yellow. And then for red, we ideally want to go for heavy attack or hit where we can. Again, your runes are really going to be based on what you get as a drop. Currently, I'm just basically using the highest level rune that I could get until I get closer to 60. I think some of my highest runes are around 39. But yeah, hit chance, heavy attack are priority. If not, you want some melee crit. However, like I said, I don't have all of the best in slot runes. I'm just getting what's highest. As you see here for yellow, I have some weakened resistance. It's also pretty solid. Heavy attack, some defenses, max health. Healing received is not terrible when you're in a group. It's pretty solid. However, you would definitely want resistances, skill damage res, uh, bind resistance, stun resistance. Silence resistance is not that great, as silence doesn't really matter for us because we're not really casting skills. But I do have a Spellblade build, so I do use that for the Spellblade. Yeah, I will make sure that the runes are updated in the Questlog. Now, let's go ahead and hop into. I'm gonna start with the Masteries this time. So for Spear Masteries, I am actually going for increased skill damage boost. And now, ideally, in game, if you're stacking endurance on a magic range build, you would guaranteed want to go for the all evasion endurance buff. Um, and then you would go to the bottom row as far as you can. Make sure you try and get the max damage. Um, however, I would say if you are melee evasion, you're mostly going to be stacking HP on the rest of your gear. You're not really going to be stacking as much endurance through your runes. You're going to be stacking a lot of HP as well as evasion. That way you can stand toe to toe with any class because you have such high defenses. You're pretty much just going to go pure damage. You're going to go middle row, bottom row with a little bit of defense up here. But like I said, if you're maining your magic range setup, it's a little bit better to go for the endurance as you're really going to want to go for some range endurance as a magic range user because you don't have as high of defenses. That being said, for the daggers, we are always going for the extra evasion. You really need the evasion on this class because surviving is just so important. You always main hand dagger in PvP. And then you're going to go down here for the attack speed, another really important, and critical damage on the daggers. So you pretty much just stop at the evasion and you go for the DPS passives here, and then we would essentially come here and get the hit and go however far we can to the middle row after we're finished with the bottom row. For our skills, we are using the critical hit chance buff as well as the skill damage buff. The skill damage buff for 125. On taking skill damage, we are getting heavy attack here, and then we're getting attack speed upon weaken, which we have a lot of weakens with our Ember and Ignite based build. Crit damage, evasion, critical hit, and extremely essential movement speed as well as mana regen. The mana regen really helps for sustain, and the movement speed really helps for mobility so that you can kill streak after you get one kill. I am going for smokescreen, as mostly I play this as a melee build, meaning I am weak towards magic range users, so you want to use smokescreen to counter magic range users who are scared to come close, and then after they've wasted some abilities, you can re-engage. We're using Unyielding Sentinel with the shield, as well as heavy attack bonus. Slaughtering Slash is your finishing attack. Even though it is a mobility skill, you ideally want to use this after you have put some ignite stacks on your opponent, because Slaughtering Slash is going to explode all the ignite and ember stacks and deal more damage per stack. Brutal Incision, execute. Phoenix Barrage to stack ignite to pair with Slaughtering Slash. You could literally Phoenix Barrage into Slaughtering Slash, really good combo. Ideally, you want to Abyssal Cleave before you Phoenix Barrage, because Abyssal Cleave is going to increase your critical damage. And then it's also going to stun the opponent. Shadow Strike is going to bind. Typically, you can bind into stun, or you could bind into knockdown into Phoenix Barrage. Ideally, I do think it is better to bind, stun, Phoenix Barrage, Tempest Strike, which is a knockback into a stun into slaughtering. That is one of the best combos. However, it is a bit hard to pull off because of cooldown, so sometimes you'll just find yourself Shadow Striking into a stun or Shadow Striking into the knockdown, and then you could potentially stack Explosive Furies on a knockdown target. When they stand up, you can stun them into a Phoenix Barrage, something like that. Or you can even just knock them down straight into a Javelin Inferno if you have stacks. I'm showing you guys the combos right now because I'm telling you the combo potential on this class is endless, as you saw in the previous clips. Using the slow on Javelin Inferno, I don't have to explain why we have stealth, hopefully, but it does cleanse bind for those of you that don't know. Flaming Arc is our sustain DPS skill. It does do decent damage AoE, and it does stack ignite, more weakens, and does more increased damage based on ignite stacks. Therefore, the more ignite you have on a target, the more damage Flaming Arc is going to do. Your damage ramps with this build based on ignite stacks. Explosive Fury, again, weaken ignite, and every one of these skills is essentially increasing your attack speed, again giving you ramping damage. Always using the stealth block, that way if you perfect block, you're getting a stealth. Going into the skill specializations, we are getting the critical damage. As I said, this is a critical damage heavy attack build, so we're getting the critical damage on Abyssal Cleave, so we can use it into our bigger skills such as Phoenix Barrage, or at the very least Javelin Inferno. So we're getting all of the DPS except the left node on Slaughtering Slash, because Slaughtering Slash, when hitting an isolated target, will hit them 6 times for 155%, meaning you hit them for about 1,000%, but it is a 21% increase per stack of the user's burst or ignite, and it can stack to like, let's say you have 5, that's over 100% increased damage on Slaughtering Slash, 100% extra damage on 1,000 damage. Do the math. It is huge if you can stack enough ignite stacks and then finish with a Slaughtering Slash. It is a one-shot ability. If you don't one-shot them with Phoenix Barrage, you will one-shot them with Slaughtering Slash. Distance Slash. increases attack range. You want the most range on this as possible. So we're getting 18 meters on this dash, and then it hits them 6 times, so it follows them if they're not near a party member. So ideally, you want to use this on isolated targets. Phoenix Barrage, like I said, after Abyssal Cleave, we are getting all the crit damage, conditional damage on hitting a stunned or a bound target, and then Phoenix Barrage so that we make sure we're applying Ignite. We are using Unyielding Sentinel for the extra shield, and then the range just helps us secure more heavy attack based on the amount of users around us. Explosive Fury for the Ignite stacks, and then we are using Hamstring to slow upon applying Javelin Inferno. This is key and essential so that you can stop range users from kiting you. You essentially are a utility slow, and you do damage, ramping damage on anyone who is ranged. Javelin Inferno again to stack Ignite, and then Flaming Arc again to stack Ignite. For our Dagger, we are essentially only using the range as well as the increased bind duration. That way we can make sure they're bound long enough so that we can land our stun or our knockdown. Most opponents will block after you Shadow Strike. Again, that's why you want the extra bind duration. That way you can bait their block and then stun them. Camouflage, we just want the cooldown reduction, and then Phantom Smokescreen, meaning targets within Smokescreen dodge, meaning your party members are going to benefit from this as well as you. And then we're getting the duration increase, the 1 second. It's pretty nice. Yeah. This is the ultimate build that I have come up with for Spear Dagger. The one-shot combo, like I said, Shadow Step, Abyss Cleave, Phoenix Barrage. You can Shadow Step, Abyss Cleave stun, Shadow Step, Abyss Cleave stun into Phoenix Barrage, into Tempest Strike, into Slaughtering. If like most range users, most squishy users who don't have melee evasion will die from one straight Phoenix Barrage. However, the chance they don't, you can usually Tempest Strike, stun them, and then straight Slaughtering Slash, and that will explode all of the Ignite stacks that you put on them with Phoenix Barrage. So if you don't one-shot with Phoenix Barrage, you will one-shot with Slaughtering Slash. At the For some reason, let's say you don't, they proc a shield, or for some reason you don't kill them with Slaughtering Slash, then you just Brutal Incision right after because you should be right within melee range. This combo is going to look like alright. I want you to note that Slaughtering Slash, it is better, again, to use on an isolated target. If you use it, like I did, near other dummies, then it splits the damage and you don't do anywhere near as much damage. If you have a hard time using Slaughtering Slash, you can take off the Slaughtering Slash spec, and you will do slightly less damage. It will still do heavy damage. However, Rising Slash always hits one target. You do a bit less damage, but it still has really solid damage. It's just Slaughtering Slash, when it hits an isolating target, does massive damage. So, personal preference. However, the thing is, I like using Slaughtering Slash on an isolated target, and if you don't have an isolated target, if they group, then typically you want to use Javelin Inferno anyway, because that's going to apply AoE damage and give you more overall DPS. You deal max damage on Javelin Inferno when you're hitting 3 targets. However, it still works pretty well if you're hitting 2 targets. Alright, so assuming that you are hitting a target that is not isolated, you don't want to finish with Slaughtering Slash. What you instead want to do is actually finish with Javelin Inferno, meaning you have to have some sort of Ember stacks from using Explosive Fury. But what that combo is essentially going to look like is Shadow Step, Phoenix Barrage, knock them back into Javelin Infernos. As long as the opponent is grouped near 1 to 2 opponents, maximum 3, then you will deal massive damage with the Javelin Inferno. You knock them back, stun them, and then they're slow with Javelin Inferno. There's almost no chance that they're going to survive that. These are some of the best combos that you have as far as full combos. However, obviously, you're always going to have some nice Explosive Fury combos. After you finish Explosive Fury, you can throw a Javelin Inferno for a slow, and then you can Flaming Arc for the maximum damage as you just applied multiple Ignite stats, and make sure that you keep your Javelin Inferno on them, and then always using Explosive Fury off cooldown, as well as Brutal Incision on low targets. Those are some of the good, really good combos. Keep in mind, I'm always using Shade Revenant as is the best DPS Guardian. Those are my combos. That is my build. You guys have seen the gear. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please drop them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for requesting this video, you guys. I know it was highly requested. I really appreciate it when you guys take the time to let me know what type of content you want to see. But peace and love. See you next video.